When you hear the word or the acronym SEO, what do you think of? Just think about the first word that comes to your head. Yes. So I thought I would do a poll a couple of weeks ago, and I went to social media, and I went to LinkedIn and Twitter and some private Facebook groups that were very active, and I asked this question. And here are the responses that I received from left to right. The larger fonts means it was repeated a number of times. I loved this social experiment because it really allowed me to see what the general public's impression is of SEO. And just look at some of those words. The red ones are negatives. The purple are neutral. And the blues were positive. There's a whole lot of negative there. Tangled, scam, shady, slimy, bad, frustration, confusing. Voodoo was one that somebody said, which was a great one. Buzzword. I mean, those are all really, really negative terms. Why do people have such a negative impression? What's so bad about SEO? In my opinion, there's misinformation. There's a lot of incorrect knowledge available on the internet that people read and take into account, try to practice, and it doesn't really end up successful like they would want. Lack of knowledge. SEO isn't super easy. There's a lot to know, and if you don't know about how to properly optimize a website or a blog, it's hard to be successful. Another one is unfocused efforts. A lot of people that I talk to sound like they're taking a dart and they're just throwing it at the board and seeing what sticks. And hoping that if they throw enough darts, eventually they're going to hit the bullseye. That's not SEO. That's not how it works, and that's not how you're successful. I think another part of it, which I didn't really want to put in writing, is SEO consultants and agencies have gotten a really bad name over the last decade, and I think there's a lot of reasons for that, and a lot of it is justified. So that is another one as well. What do I think of when I hear the term SEO? I've been doing it for 15 years. I'm self-taught. My degree from college was in accounting. I know, I don't know what I was thinking. Didn't do a day of accounting in my life. So I'm a self-taught marketer, and I've been using SEO for 15 years to grow both my old company and to grow my WordPress agency and my consulting business. I'm going to show you the words I thought of as I sat on my couch with my iPad, and they're from left to right, top to bottom. These are the words that came to my head. Possibilities, success, revenue, leads, sales, growth, opportunities, options, power, liberation. Liberation because I'm liberating you from pay-per-click, which is, in my opinion, digital cocaine for today's marketer. You spend your money and it's gone. SEO liberates you from that. It gives you power. It gives you freedom because you are in control of your destiny. It brings prospects and customers. It's helpful. It's empowerment and it's engagement because you are bringing a very focused target market into your website or to your blog. Those are my phrases. Those are my words. And I want to help you today to see these as a possibility. If you change your perception about SEO, you will change your results. There's no question about it. And at first, when I first started to word that, I was wording it as if your view was wrong. Your view is not necessarily wrong, but I want to help shift it just slightly. We need to reorient ourselves about internet marketing. And more importantly is search engine optimization. And why is that? Because those phrases I showed you at the beginning, those are really negative. SEO isn't negative. SEO can be wonderful and powerful, and it can grow your audience and bring in very, very targeted customers, but you have to view it in a different way. So what does search engine optimization really mean? Well, let's ask Google. This is from the Google's Getting Started Guide with SEO. Has anyone ever read that as a PDF? Who's read it? All right. When you all leave this weekend, you are going to go to Google. You are going to put in Google's I think it's Beginner's Guide to Search Engine Optimization. A PDF will show up, link at the beginning. Read that document from start to end. It is a user-friendly way to understand SEO in the eyes of Google. And it's important to understand SEO in the eyes of Google. But most importantly, I pulled out this part, right? And you can read, I don't need to read it to you, but it's small incremental changes that you make to your website or blog. It's not voodoo. It's not this huge thing that you have to hire somebody for $10,000 for. It's things you do and that you do at an incremental level to what? Change the user experience. Make a positive user experience for people who visit your website and blog. If you look at SEO in those terms, you will win. What does this have to do with you? You need to think like Google. I have been preaching thinking like Google for a year, and I don't even know when it came to my mind and why I shifted from my normal SEO speak to this. But it works, and here's why. When you start to think about SEO in the eyes of Google and Bing, you will understand what's important, and you'll know how to beat the system. You'll know how to put yourself in a better position against your competition. There's so many, do you guys know what black hat SEO is? Right? Yeah. So crappy SEO tactics that are designed to get you to page one, top page one listing very quickly. And they go against the best practices of the search engines. They go against what is allowed by the search engines. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about white hat, and white hat is the positive version, and it's all designed to help Google. If you help Google do good, Google will do good for you. So let's look at it from Google's perspective. That is one of the tactics, yes. Creating long, positive content, yes. There's many tactics for both black hat and white hat. My goal is to show you to focus you on the white hat so you can understand how you can be successful. So let's look at how the search engines make money. How do they make money? Happy users. Their focus is a positive user experience. How do search engines have happy users? How can you help them make happy users? It's a positive user experience. If you stay focused on your efforts with internet marketing, with blogging, with podcasting, if your focus is a positive user experience, you'll start to excel at SEO. Typical process. A user comes to the search engines. They type in an inquiry in the box. It could be a one-word or it could be a three-word phrase. The search engines come back and give you results that they believe matches that inquiry. The user looks at those results. They're going to click through to a website or blog based on that list on page one, because very rarely does anyone ever go past page one. They're going to get to the website or blog, and they are either going to get their question answered, or they're going to feel like they've been screwed, and they're going to jump back to the search engines and go try another result. If the user has a positive experience, what's going to happen? They're going to stay with Google, they're going to stay with Bing, and they're going to continue to come back and use that as a resource. And along the way, they're going to click on an ad at some point, which raises money for the search engines. The happier the users are for the search engines, the happier the search engines are. The more you can make your users happy, the more you will be rewarded by the search engines. Google's goal is to help users find the best content to solve their problems. If you can help the search engines solve a user's problem, you're going to win at SEO every single time. Now just think about that. It's your users. Who uses your blog? Who uses your website? How can you help them? Take away the 200 data points in an algorithm for Google. Take away all of the penalties. Don't look at Panda, don't look at Penguin, don't look at all of that, because guess what? I don't. I'm an SEO consultant and I don't fret about those penalties. I'm knowledgeable about them, but they are not my focus. My focus is answering questions and helping the users. I do this on my sites, I do this on my client sites. I am successful because I focus on this, and this is always the paramount center of what I'm trying to do. How can you make sure that your users have a positive experience? You're going to ask a lot of questions. How many times has anyone ever heard an SEO consultant tell you to start asking questions? They don't, do they? What they do is they tell you to give them money every month, and they will do it for you. And you shouldn't worry your pretty little head about what's going on. They'll build links for you, they'll optimize your content, they'll check your code, they'll do audits for you, and most of the time, nobody's telling you what they're actually doing. And you may, I see some head shaking down back there, and you may find out from the search engines when you're penalized for crappy links they've been putting on crappy websites, then you'll find out what they were doing. I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to pay me monthly. I don't want you to pay anyone else monthly. I want you to empower yourself. And the way you're going to empower yourself is you're going to start asking yourself questions. The first question is, who am I? Who are you? In the sense of your website or blog, who are you? Think about that question and record an answer in your head. Next is, what do you offer? If you're a blogger, you could be offering recipes or health food education. If you're a website developer, you're offering marketing solutions, right? This is endless, but start asking yourself those questions. Now ask yourself, what questions do your visitors have? What are their issues? What are their pain points? What do they struggle with? Now ask yourself, what do you offer that solves those pain points? What do you do that solves their problems? How can you help them? If you ask yourself those questions and you document your results, that is the start of your SEO process. How does this apply to WordPress? Most of the time, when we talk about SEO with WordPress, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Yoast, or all-in-one SEO. And I'm going to say this later in my presentation. A plugin is not SEO. A plugin is a tool that you utilize within your SEO process. And your process starts with asking those questions about yourself and your target demographic. WordPress has an endless supply of opportunities for SEO. If you're a blogger, you're familiar with posts. If you have a website, it can be pages and tags and categories and courses and images and custom post types that could be case studies or your portfolio or projects or anything else, locations. And then you've got products. And your products could have products, tags, and product categories. Your homepage is like hidden before though, but all of those are options for applying SEO to your website or your blog. Where people thought SEO was tangled at the beginning and slimy and shady and confusing, I want you to break it down to what were the questions you asked about yourself and your visitor. Now think about the answers that you've had in your head, and I hope you are giving yourself answers in your head. Now I want you to think about those in the realm of your website. Where do those answers lie? Are they sitting out there? If you're a developer, where is it on your website that says that you're a developer and that provides information on what you do as a developer? Or what solutions you answer for and problems that you offer for your visitors to the website or the blog? Where are they? You most likely have not thought of SEO in those terms because most likely you've been thinking that you have to pay a consultant or you have to install a plugin. And that's your SEO. I want you to think outside that box. SEO is more than throwing keywords at WordPress. And I say that because a lot of times when I talk to people, that's what they think. They think to themselves that if, for example, you write WordPress plugins, and I say to you, what WordPress plugins do you create? I have a plugin for recipes. And I ask you, what page on your website is targeted as the solution and the source of information for the recipes. A lot of times people will say, well, it's all over my website. That's what I do, right? They're throwing keywords and thoughts that they have just at the website randomly. That's not SEO. That's confusion for the search engines, and that's confusion for the visitors. Because remember what I said at the very beginning. Your goal is to answer problems and questions for the visitors, solve their issues, help the search engines do that by giving them a roadmap to where the best content is for that question. And if you have keywords all over your website and you have no plan and no structure and no map, you can't do that for the search engines and you can't do that for your visitors. SEO is a process. You all have been taught that it's a consultant or it's a plugin. It's neither. It is a process. So it's research, it's planning, it's execution. It's not a one-day process. It's a long-term process. It's reviewing your existing data and reports, looking at your competitors and researching them and learning from them. It's looking at Google activity and Google Analytics and Google Search Console. How many in here have a Google Search Console account? How many of you have hooked your XML sitemap to it? How many of you look at your data? Thank you. Very good. That is like the best place you can find information. And you know why? That is Google's view of your website or blog. They're telling you everything that you need to know to make improvements. But a lot of people just don't realize that. But that's the first step, is to look at your current state and that of your competition and ask those questions. You know, I wanted you to say, who am I? What do I offer? What do my visitors struggle with? Think about all of that as you start doing this planning, and the first step is to build a seed list. A seed list are all the words that are associated to those questions. Brainstorm that and keep it in a living document. I have types of information in notes that cross over from my Mac to my phone to my iPad, so I can always have a running list of thoughts and how I can potentially better help people. From that seed list, you go and you pull search volumes to see if your words match that of your visitor. You'll be surprised at what people search on because your terminology isn't their terminology in a lot of the cases. And here's a great example. I have a stock theme store on my website for Genesis child themes. Does a lawyer and an accountant know what a child theme is? No. And at one point, my website had child themes all over it. And I had a client, bless her heart, looked at me and said, Rebecca, I don't know what a child theme is. Are you talking about a toddler? And it was a light bulb into I wasn't solving any problems. I was providing confusion. I wasn't speaking in my target demographics, my visitors' language. And I shifted that. And I started to research what they look for, what they need, right? I had my thoughts, but I validated with those search volumes to make sure that I was really targeting what people are searching for. And I'm not telling you to go work on the highest volume search. I'm asking you to validate what you think against what people really do search on. Once I have my seed list and I've got some volume so I know if my thought process on those phrases are right, now I move into relevance. Relevance is, for that seed list, how closely do those words match that of what I offer? It doesn't do you any good to have some focused phrase that doesn't match what you can give to people, because you're not going to solve the problem for them. I can go target Viagra on my website, and I can try to pull in search volume for that, but when I offer website design and SEO consulting, that Viagra search term isn't going to do any good for me because it's not going to solve a problem because I can't deliver anything. Thank the Lord I can't deliver anything associated with Viagra. But if I start talking about things I can help with, like SEO consulting or custom design or micro sites for enterprise level clients, now guess what happens? Google knows that's who I am. Google knows that's a service I could potentially offer. Google rewards me in search because I'm providing a solution for their customers and I will make them happy. The sitemap is one of the things most people never do, and it's one of the most important things that you can do with your website or blog. And all that is saying, what were my questions? What are the words associated with those questions and solutions? Now I'm going to map that to specific locations on my website and blog. And what are you doing with that? You're simply telling the search engines what the best piece of content is for that word or phrase. Don't make them guess. I don't have website design on a page and a blog post and a category, because what does that do? It makes the user and the search engines decide which is the best piece of content for the phrase website design. I have a page that is dedicated to WordPress website design, and I rank at the top of Google for it, and I have for probably 6 years. And the reason I do is because that is the page. That is the page I want Google and Bing to send traffic to for anyone who's searching for that. I write other content that supports that, but they all link back to that page. All of those inbound links and keeping that page focused on that topic is a path for Google to say, yes, this is exactly where I need to send people that want this, because Rebecca can offer that, and I know this is the page. When you start focusing multiple pieces of content on the same phrase, which remember I said you had keywords all over your website, now what you're doing is you're saying, Google, I really don't know what the best piece of content is, so why don't you tell me for me? Go ahead. You tell me. And what happens in that situation? They ignore you. They're going to go on to somebody else that has a clear map, that has a clear direction to the solution to the question. That's what that sitemap does for you. If you do nothing after today, make yourself a sitemap. There are, and I have a bunch of information on my website that offers the tools. Dynamapper is one that I really like, but there's other ones too. I just can't think off the top of my head. Okay, so the next is execution. Once you have that sitemap, now you have to start making sure that you have content for that. If you have existing content, optimize that content for the designated phrase. If you need new content, go create it. Once you create that content, now you need to optimize it. And notice I'm getting to the blue, right? What is the blue? WordPress and plugins. Notice this whole SEO process up until then didn't even touch WordPress. And the reason people struggle with WordPress SEO is because they jump straight to that plugin. They load Yoast. They maybe get a green light and they think that they're good. You're not good because you skipped all of this. And really, see, you all laugh because guess what? You got that green light, you're like, yes! Woo! I got it! I got them all! And did you score on the top of page 1? Probably not. And it's because you skipped everything else, right? And I don't fault Yoast, the Yoast team for this, because they create a great plugin. All-in-one SEO is a great plugin. But they can't make you do everything else. They can only give you a tool that allows you to optimize your content. And Yoast does a really good job with the green light because he's trying to tell you what you're missing, right? You're getting a red, you forgot to do this, you forgot to do this. That is all geared towards just reminding you to stay on track. But again, it's the end of the process. After you enter your content and you optimize it, what do you have to do? You have to promote it. You have to get out there on social media. You have to get those inbound links in. That's another step of the process. And then the last one is you review what you did. Use Google Search Console. Look to see what was successful. Reverse engineer it. Duplicate that process and everything else. I have reverse engineered the crap out of my stuff for 15 years. I've gotten myself booted off of Google at the very beginning. Yes, it's one of my proud moments. I admit it. And it was because I was doing black hat stuff and I didn't know it at the time, but I was self-taught. We didn't have a lot of information back then. We didn't have a nice pretty PDF that told us what they wanted. But I learned and I reverse engineered it and I continued to document what was working and build myself a process. This is what I've done for 15 years. I've done it for various clients, various industries. It's the same process. What is different is the questions you're asking and the answers. Remember this. Stick this into your head, tattoo it across your forehead. I don't care. It is not, SEO is not a plugin. The plugin is a tool. They are a part of an overall holistic process that if you do right, you'll be successful. So just out of curiosity, how many in here feel that they can win with SEO? Raise a hand. That you can actually be successful with SEO. Good. The rest of you, you need to raise your hands. Because you can be successful. If I can be like the kid that went to Central Michigan and got the accounting degree and realized afterwards, like, oh crap, I hate this, and then move myself through various things and then I find my way to marketing, and I can teach myself this, you can do this. Anybody can do it. It's getting yourself into a process and educating yourself, and it's that word that I used earlier, it's empowering yourself. I want to reiterate, because I said this earlier, you're creating a roadmap for Google. What pieces of content on your blog or website are answers to users' questions? That's your goal with SEO. Your primary goal is to create solutions with information. How do you do that roadmap? You use WordPress and you use the SEO plugins. And along the way, my little road signs, these are the things that matter. So that when you've gone through the process and you're in WordPress and you've got your Yoast SEO tool or all-in-one, what do you need to pay attention to? The page name, the URL, the H1 header, the content and the images, links, related phrases, meta titles, meta descriptions, XML sitemaps. So all of these guys, what would they all have in common? Your keyword, your focus keyword. That's what Yoast is trying to do for you with those green dots. He's trying to make sure that the keyword that you've put into that little field is in your page name. It's in your URL. It's in your H1 header. He's giving you the scoring of your roadmap for Google. It's up to you on whether or not you're going to pay attention to it, and you're going to have that plan in place to make sure that you are answering those questions. When you go back to your website or blog and you're using Yoast or all-in-one, remember, this is what they're trying to help you do. And the whole point of this is to make sure that you're reinforcing for Google and Bing that this piece of content offers a solution for this inquiry. Having the consistency across these is what makes it easy for the search engines to know what piece of content they need to select and put back into page 1 of search. These two guys right here, very undervalued in the world. They're very powerful. Why are they powerful? The spider scene, but more importantly, it is your first opportunity to sell. Before anyone ever gets to your website or blog, that's what they see in the search engine results page. That can be awesome and entice them to click through and to come see who you are. Or it can be confusing and be filled with a bunch of words that make no sense. Those have to match your keywords for that page. And the reason is it reinforces for the search engines and the visitors when that pops up in that big page of results with all those stinking ads at the top. It shows them as Google bolds those for you that that's a solution for them. They're important. If you do nothing else, do that. Make sure those are good. Use your keyword, write them for the visitor. Make them want to click through. Let's look at some real-world examples. All right. So for the query website RFP, there was 2 that I didn't like that I didn't think applied. So I fuzzed them out. The rest of them, what do? I don't know how much you can read from the back of the room. There's answers to that question, a website RFP. Why is that an important question? Because people who create websites don't do it every day. They don't know how to ask someone to build a website for them. It's all new territory. They may know that they got to have an RFP, but they don't know what to include in it. They are asking Google to help find them a solution and deliver them guidance. Do these responses answer it? How to write a website design RFP. 20 website design requirements for every RFP. Request for proposal template. All of those are providing answers. They're solving the user's problem. That's why all of these are on page 1. Let's look at another one. This is a local website to me in Michigan, Henderson Glass. I use them because from working in that industry years ago, for a client, I knew that they had horrendous SEO. They do it in-house. The web design's all in-house. So I looked for windshield repair just within their website, and look what shows up. There's 3 results. How do you know as the user which one you want to click through to? Which is the best one? They're all really saying the same thing though. And if you click through to the pages, they're all really the same content. What this company's done is they've tried to go after similar phrases by slightly changing the verbiage on each page. Does this provide a good user experience? No. And guess what happens? They're not leading in their industry and the local Michigan market for glass repair. They're making it difficult on the search engines to know which page or piece of content is the best answer for that question. And they're providing a bad user experience because as soon as you get to their website, you're like, no, this is ugly and it's just written for SEO. It's not written for the user. It's not solving any problems. Here's one of their competitors. If I Googled windshield repair, what am I seeing? This is from the search engine results page. Reinforces that this piece of content I'm going to is about that. I also see it in the URL and I see it in the description. I get to the actual page, there it is in the H1. There it is again in the first paragraph. Down here in an H2 tag, it's in the image, it's in the video. What is this doing? It is solving the user's inquiry. It's telling them that A, they offer windshield repair, but it's educating them on the process. It's taking away fears. It's telling them it's easy and how they can do it. It's got a call to action over on that side of the page that lets them find someone right near them that can do that for them. This page answers a user's inquiry. It solves their problem. It gives them good information. That is why they are ranking on page 1. I'm going to reiterate this guy again because he's really important, and I keep saying it, and I say it all the time. Plugins do not equal SEO. They are tools within an overall process. If you're going to pick an SEO plugin, please, for the love of God, pick one of these 2. For everything that is good in SEO, which you may not believe that, but there is a lot of good in SEO, these guys you're safe with. Everything else in the repository, ignore. Because they do loosey-goosey stuff that can get you in trouble. You need to have an SEO plugin in your website and blog. You need to use it, but use it, again, as part of your overall process. Here's 5 elements, what I consider to be good SEO. And we've talked about all of them today. The first one is to think like Google. Stay focused on what the search engine's objectives are, what they need from you, and how you can help their users have a good experience. Ask a lot of questions. Who are you? What do you offer? Who's your visitor? Who's your preferred target market? What are their problems? What do you offer that can solve those problems? I show up at the top of page 1 for WordPress web design and a varied phrases around that. What does that do for me? Here's what it does for me. When someone comes to our website and sends in an inquiry, they have already self-qualified themselves. They know they want WordPress. I don't have to tell them that we are not building in Joomla because they found me through that inquiry because they knew they wanted WordPress. It makes my sales cycle shorter. I can close customers in a couple of days because they've done an inquiry. I've showed up at the top of page 1. I've proven my authority. They've clicked through. They've been happy with my content because it's a long page with lots of information. I'm giving them a solution to their problem. It's why I rank. It's why I've always ranked on that. And it's perfect because they are my target demographic and they help me sell quick. Create content that solves their problems. I am a broken record with that, but it's a shift in the way people think. Establish a structured process for research, planning, execution, reporting, and review. Reverse engineering is your friend. It doesn't have to be complicated. You just see that works. And I'll tell you something real quick. I've done it with every type of content I've had. down to I know if I launch a stock theme, the steps I have to go to get that to page 1 in a matter of weeks. I also know what search volume I have to stay within to make that happen. I know that because I sat and looked at data and I've dug into data and I've done a lot of research in my own data and my own introspection. It is so powerful. Dig into Google Search Console. And then, pardon me? That's who you are, what do you do, who is your visitor. And then the last one is just always stay focused on a positive user experience. And again, how many people have really heard that from SEO consultants in the past? That's not what they're focusing on a lot of times, but that's what I want you to focus on. Don't write 300 words on a page because Yoast says that that's okay. It's not okay. There's a lot of studies that say today you need between 1,000 and 2,000 words to rank on page 1. But those words need to be powerful and impactful and helpful. If you do that, you're providing a positive user experience and you will win. Okay, so we have a few minutes left for questions and I'm happy to answer anything you have. Yes. Yep. Ignore it. Does Google really care whether you've got stop words? And a lot of times Google's smart enough to know that to and a can be swapped back and forth, and it doesn't really care. You know, that's like the minutia, like you having to worry about panda and penguin, right? If you just solve the answer and make sure your long tail keyword phrase matches somebody's inquiry, you're gonna be successful. Yes. Yeah. All right, so local SEO, very similar to national SEO, but unlike that of, if there's any lawyers in here, please forgive me, the lawyers who put St. Louis all over the page, that is local SEO from 1985, right? So here's what the search engines need for local SEO. Your local area code. Don't put an 800 number on there without having another phone number that's got your area code. I'm a 248. Google knows what 248 covers. Your address. Your local phone number, your address should be in the footer of your website if you have a single location. What does that allow the search engines to do? Associate that geographical area with the content it sees on the page. It's not rocket science. It just needs to understand what you do and where you cover. Next, go to directories like Google+, Maps, Bing Local, Facebook. There's services like Yax that will put you on all of those directories and make sure those local directories have consistent information on your address and your phone number. Those are your two huge keys for local SEO. You don't need to stress about it. It's actually way easier than national SEO because you have a limited pool that you're competing with. Yes? Yep. Excellent question. One of those results I gave you, the website RFP, guess who was like number 3 on that page? Guess where that page links? WordPress website design. I just close it with a call to action. I educate them for 2,000 words on creating an RFP for a website design. And at the very bottom, I say, and oh, by the way, if you're going to be, following along this process, we offer WordPress website design. Just give us a call. Doesn't have to be each post, but yes. And here's what you're doing, because the internal links matter. And I just fought with this with a webmaster a little bit ago, a couple weeks ago. She's like, they don't matter. Oh, hell yes, they do. Search engines say they do. Google says they do. They say it in that PDF that I told you to download. And this is what they do. If you always, or you go into Search Console, they show you this information. Where do you link to most in your website? They give you that. The reason they give you that is because the pages you link to or the content you link to most, you're telling the search engines that is my most important content because you're directing people there. What do most of you probably do in here? You link over to your contact page and you forget everything else, which is fine, but you got to link towards that website design. And where do I link to? I link to website design, SEO consulting, my theme store, all the places that are competitive that I want to rank on page 1. Because you're reinforcing that for the search engines. That's where, yes, we have like a couple more questions. The last blog post on my website at WebSavvy answers that, because I used to love the AdWords tool, but they changed it last week so that if you don't have pay-per-click, and I will not do pay-per-click, you can't see real volumes. So I went and did research last weekend. There's like 17 options. And I give you pros and cons for each one, the price, and everything else that you need. And you know, that's like, I have an online course. We have a module that has keyword research. I give you more tools. I give you templates. It is a process, but it's definitely worth a process for you to do. I think we have one more question. Anybody? Yes. Slideshare.net. Under Rebecca Gill, I have this slide, and I probably have 20 more presentations about SEO. And if Corey Miller's in here, the iThemes team has been really great for the last 9 months. We've been doing free webinars over there for SEO. He has got a slew of SEO webinars sitting on his site that are just available for you to browse through. iThemes, yeah, iThemes.com. Do you know where they're at in the site, Corey? There we go, Kristen. Yeah, so that's free if you want to go more in depth. I've got my SEO courses, and then we've got a boot camp coming in January here in Dallas, on site for 2 days. Kristen? All right, anybody else? All right, thanks so much, everybody.